now, and there's Maya who joined us today. These are all the speakers from day 2, along with Sheila and Neil. I'm Alan Steinfeld, and we're just going to do a wrap up of everything, that we heard and common themes. And we have a whole day tomorrow. So if you like what you hear, go to portaltoascension.org, sign up for the last day. You also get replays of the first 2 days, which have gone. Yesterday, I think it was like 10 hours, wasn't it? And today it's like another 8 hours or something. I guess Phil is he coming into the room? Phil Gruber?
He's on, but maybe he's not available right now. Yeah, he's not coming.
All right. Well, Sheila.
Oh, there we go. Phil said Phil is technically asleep. So there we go.
Okay, technically. Is that a new thing for him, or is that like something? Anyway, Sheila Seppi is the creator of this conference, and Neil Gore is the, I would guess, executive producer. I'm hosting along with these two, but Sheila really came up with this idea. If you're just tuning in, Sheila, just a very brief overview about the mission of this conference. What do we hope to accomplish by gathering all these people here?
Well,
who are walk-in. Yeah, go.
One of the first things we wanted to do was to give voice to walk-ins so they could share their story, and hopefully those people in the audience would resonate. We have such a wide variety of walk-ins. We have hybrids who have had walk-in experiences. We have people whose parents have been walk-ins. We have so many different types of star beings that are waking up to the fact that they are walk-ins. And so we're hoping that people will begin to wake up to that essence of who they truly are, know that there are people out there to support them, and that we do have a network that's available and ready to provide community for them.
Right. And just like a brief thing, I mean, walk-in is like a soul exchange, if you've never heard that term before. So everyone you see here has had some level of that experience. Well, yes. I don't think, I may have actually, and I don't know if Neil has, but everyone else here is coming out about what's happening to them. We'll review that, but you don't have to go into all the different types, but there we have a walk in there. I think Phil, I think you walked out there. Let's our mystery walk-in guest, Phil Gruber, ladies and gentlemen.
Hey, Phil.
Thanks, Phil. Phil, what do you make of today's conference? If you can unmute yourself. Unmute, Phil, unmute. Phil, you just have to unmute.
Yeah, let me request it from him.
There you go. There we go. Okay, go ahead.
No, I just came on a short time ago. I had a very, very late night. I had a pretty intense multi-hour webinar with my Brazilian students last night. You know, everything is topsy-turvy here. We're 13 hours ahead. We're 14, 15 hours ahead of mountain time.
Right. Well, anyway, hang in there. I just have a question who my friend Jean Marie just sort of mentioned about ascension. It seems like the planet is ascending, but what can each of us do to help that process? I mean, besides coming to this conference. So, and I mean, Yvonne, you talked about that a little bit. Can you share, Yvonne? And then I'll go around. Yes.
I think that the more that we live in our authentic truth, which is love, and the more we show that love to others, the more they're going to find truth within themselves. Yeah. When we are at war with one another and there's a lot of division, it just reinforces what we're actually trying to move out of. So I think, I'm not saying that you can't have a voice and that you can't speak up, but I don't think that one-on-one in our conversations that we need to be fighting with each other anymore. We need to just, have some compassion for each other, try to understand one another, have these deep conversations, but do it with a heart of love so that there can be some resolution rather than just stirring up something else.
Right. But hasn't that's always been the case, but I think there is something different about this time because we're all these people here are coming forward, like Maya's talking, Darlene, Robert, Hildegard. I mean, So Maya, oh, go ahead, Hildegard. I'll come back to Maya. Hildegard, yeah, wait, unmute yourself, Hildegard.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, you see what I find is so amazing about this time is, for me personally, that I knew when I journaled desperately, somebody help me, you know, that it would take time. And I think it was Maya who said, God, give me patience, but give it to me now, you know. There is divine timing. And I thought this is just some floscle that people throw out. But over the past of the last 28 years of my life, I have seen the magic in timing. And I think for those people who are here for the first time, your time is going to come. So don't rush it, flow with it. And I think just as Robert loved your story, by the way, and all the details.
Oh, thank you.
Amazing. We need to talk for sure, because I don't have that recall in the prep time before I entered here. And I found that very interesting. But I think for us now as this time, there are a lot of popcorns to pop. This was the image I was given from Louis Marr, and all is well, all is in good hands. This is a message I'm getting all the time. Whenever I kind of feel I'm going down the rabbit hole and I'm thinking, well, why isn't it shifting out there? I'm always getting back, shift in here. It's all in your hands, right? And I'm very encouraged to see people just find us accidentally, or they learned about it yesterday, or somebody sends them an email. So thank you so much for everybody to take your day and spend it with us. You could have done a million other things, yet you chose to be with us. So thank you.
So Maya, what about that? And we'll get to about, you know, the perfect timing and then waiting. I mean, Robert went through that too. And what, do you have anything to add to that, Maya? I mean, about
you know, Hildegard, I think, has said something very profound, is that we all live in a culture of hurry. We hurry all the time. We hurry in our appointments. And trusting in divine timing is really an act of faith that most of us have a little bit of issue exemplifying in our lives. I don't know how I would proceed in my life if I didn't have some sort of trust in something that is outside myself, that is larger, that is more comprehensive, that is source. I would probably make myself crazy if I tried to navigate and adjust and respond to everything that comes to me, because in fact, I think that we are on the precipice of an awakening that is so far beyond what we had thought was possible. Right. But we are so grounded in the human experience, which is, you know, we're dealing with Trump, we're dealing with politics, we're dealing with economics, we're dealing with, you know, COVID, and it can seem so plentiful in terms of things we have to respond to in our day. And if, as Hildegard was talking, if we can jump up above that and just breathe and just say, there's a bigger design here. Where am I in the fabric of that design? And invite the information to come in. I think that this is a very precious time. It's a very auspicious time for us to evolve as individuals, as a species. But what I know about the multidimensional world that's involved in my life is they are eager to provide the foundation for us to stand on so that we can navigate the times that we're in. So yeah, I love what Hildegard said. I don't know you, Hildegard, but I really want to know you because we're really quite on the same wavelength.
We know each other, Maya. Sister of a different mother.
Okay, let me talk to Phil Gruber, my old roommate from New York. Go ahead, Phil.
Hi, I want my futon back, by the way.
I know. We'll talk about that later, okay? Okay.
Listen, Robert, you know, I got in just for the last 20, 25 minutes of Robert. It really brings the point home that we have such a multiplicity of experience here and in multiple dimensions, multiple identities. And we're trying to make sense of all this experience. We're trying to find common ground, not only with each other, but with our own individuated experience in these multiple dimensions simultaneously. That's why I think this conference and conferences like this are so important. Aren't these the largest questions we ask ourselves? Why are we here? What's our purpose?
Yes.
What's the purpose of our creation? And you know, Sheila, especially, that I talk about the type 1 indigos that always come in through walk-in contracts. And the type 1s, much like the type 2s, are here to do planetary work. And this is why it is so, certainly in my mind, so essential that we come to know why we're here, that we share the same longing, the same existential longing, you know, and we're here to share a love that knows no earthly bounds. And a lot of people still don't understand that. We do, but you know, that feeling when your heart is so big, it can't be contained in one body. You just want to share everything.
Well, let's get Robert's response.
Like this is so important.
Robert, do you?
Yes. Yeah. I totally agree there, Phil. One physical body just does not seem to be enough with the expanding love that, you know, that we want to give out. It just seems, and in one physical incarnation, it overflows the expression of so many lifetimes and so many experiences over, you know, so many realities. We can't even comprehend how, you know, vast and, you know, this spectrum is. You know, for each each person, each soul has gone through countless eons of time, of incarnations and experiences. Yeah.
There's an interesting question here. There's a few questions, but the one from Anthony looks interesting. I understand the interest in exoconsciousness and the fact that we as a race are likely much more than what we reveal on the surface. But is there some kind of consciousness exchange program with the alien forms where humans are lurking in the background on the other planets? Is it just a one-way translation for some reason? Or are this human potential, the great things that we have to offer as humans, we're probably guiding some ET races that have yet to develop an emotional body? Does anyone have anything to say to that? Darlene, did you want to comment on that?
Sure.
Yes. Oh, wait, you just muted yourself. Unmute. Yeah. Unmute.
Mute. Thanks. Yeah, I believe that there's a plethora of planets that are inhabited. And my understanding is that there are humans on other planets. They might be, they might be hybrids or whatever, but we're not the only ones that are being observed. There's other planets that are being birthed. There's other planets where humans are in a less of an evolution than what we are. And so we have that potential. It's reciprocal.
Right. Well, Andrea, you brought up, you started the day with the whole idea of love. And I think this is something humans, when they're in good shape, know how to express. What do you have to say?
Well, I touched on a couple of things earlier that I didn't expound more fully on because I was running out of time and too mindful of the clock.
Right.
But what I wanted to share and what I wanted to express and started to talk about was the concept that thoughts are things, that nothing in our physical material world that we have created just manifested in form spontaneously, that it was all created from a dream, a thought, a concept, an idea, something in I think the greatest thing about humanity is our boundless creativity. And that all comes from what I refer to as divine mind. I think that, we each have separate brains, but I think we're all tapping into a singular consciousness, a singular mind, infinite intelligence. And so, the old phrase, there's nothing new under the sun. All thoughts have been thought at some time before. So I think that in order to master that process, and if that's true, if we're not coming up with anything original that someone hasn't tapped into before, that's fine. But when we tap in to cosmic consciousness, as it were, and I think we live in cosmic consciousness. Some people feel like they have to meditate or they have to go into dream state or, lucid dreaming or whatever in order to connect with the greater consciousness. And I just don't think that's true. I think we are each an expression of that divine mind, that constant cosmic consciousness that makes us who and what we are. And so with that precept, what I would like to say is that if thoughts are things, then it is incumbent upon us to set the intention for what we want our world to look like, how much we want to delve into the possibilities, which are, of course, infinite, as is the universe. And when we employ the notion that thoughts are things, we kick it into creative mode to a higher extent. And so I think that, we all talk about raising the frequency, raising the vibration of the planet. There are so many people that reach out to me all the time and say, oh, I don't have the money to give to this, source or, that cause that's so important to me. I can't volunteer. I've got 3 kids at home. I'm homeschooling. I'm doing this. I'm doing that. I can't. And my response is, yes, you can. All you need to do is set the intention and hold it. Set the intention, visualize what you want this world to look like. And in so doing and holding that in conscious thought, going back to it several times a day, just taking a moment and just closing your eyes and envisioning what kind of world you want to live in. That alone is raising the vibration of the planet, and it is incalculable and it is immeasurable, but it's as real as the pen in my hand, this thing, because thoughts are things. And somebody
probably
invented this.
Yes.
More real, I think, than thoughts are things. I just want to bring Neil into the conversation. Neil is the founder of A Portal to Ascension. Phil, you would have loved his presentation because it covered the whole galactic history and where we're going. And so you presented a lot of science, Neil, which was great, a lot of factual ideas. But how do we integrate this idea of love and thoughts as things into the science? How do we get that idea to the scientists that are just looking for black holes and hardware?
Yeah, well, I feel that it goes into the understanding that we are and have been everything, including, like I've had regressions that I've been someone that has actually created some of the disharmony on Earth right now. But here I am balancing it out, right?
Yeah.
And through like that presentation I'm doing and a lot of other people I work with, we're creating a trajectory of hardcore foundational science that leads them into this eventual understanding that, the elusiveness of time, the fluidity of time, and then the understanding of how our ancestors could also be our children. You know what I mean? Because in this realm of when you don't have time, for example, when we talk about the Lyrans and we talk about being in different dimensions and then these beings incarnating into lower frequencies, into these dimensions and densities and experiencing themselves in linearity, but they came from a realm where linearity didn't even exist in their mind. What did they do? Not only have they created future versions of themselves to incarnate into an experience, but they've also created an eventual, a group of beings that will eventually become them in our own linear future. Because in our own linear future, we increase in density, and then we eventually become the same beings that created us in the first place. So it's this like loop, right? And the thing is, like, 10 years ago, actually 10 years ago, my dad did tell me, what's up with all this alien stuff? He said to me, and
I think we've all heard that.
and now, like, I'm honestly, I'm more confident in myself now that I don't even need his approval. But if I did sit down and have a conversation with him, I could, like, there's enough evidence to back it. So to answer your question about how does the science, play into this, what I really wanted to show in my presentation and through Portal to Ascension in general is that even mathematics and physicists and mainstream are all discovering the same things that we've known within the metaphysical community for so long. Yes. Metaphysics is the primordial sound. Metaphysics is what existed before everything, right? And metaphysics, to me, is metaphorical quantum physics, because in metaphysics and quantum physics, they're the exact same thing, except quantum physics is reality plus agenda, because it's been put, through all types of filters. So it's got all this truth, but then it's got a little bit of misinformation to throw you off, right? So metaphysics, you have oneness. Quantum physics, you have singularity. Metaphysics, you have electromagnetic field. Quantum physics, you have aura. Quantum physics, you have dimension. In metaphysics, you have realm or dimension. So it's the same thing. It's just a time to start educating the scientists about it. And I'll just end with this. What's happened with science is that it went from philosophy, which is what science used to be, to, we know and you don't know. So now it's like, why do we always go with what the scientists say? Like, scientists say this. Okay, so let's just all accept it, right? But what is a scientist? It's just like, you've been certified by some sort of organization, so now you're a scientist. But before, these scientists were people that were philosophizing about the universe and the cosmos, and it was about questions and exploration. Now it's about arrogance and we know and you don't know, Right.
So and they'll never say they don't know. That's the thing. Oh, what's this extra DNA? Well, it must be junk DNA.
Yes. You just said exactly what I was going to come in and hop in. They can't explain it, so they discard it. Well, what if that's our ancient self embedded in our code? What if that's everything that's really important about who and what we are, and it went out with the trash because they couldn't explain it and they couldn't understand it, and therefore it was irrelevant?
Right. Phil, Neil is so good. We're going to have to put him on the lecture circuit and get someone else to manage Portal to Ascension. But your father, Neil, brings up a really good point, because, we're talking about the soul. And I've talked to spiritual teachers about this, and they say, what do we need aliens for? What is that about? And so it's a whole other level. My answer was to this, person who writes a lot of books. Well, it's about another level of consciousness that is more than just what we know as human. So Sheila, were you surprised though with the amount of overlay between the soul and all the, alien consciousnesses that have been brought in to the walk-in experience?
Actually, I wasn't. I mean, initially I was, but through the conference, absolutely not, because, as a walk-in, I started doing a lot of investigating early on, and there is a multidimensionality that we all have. So whether we're a walk-in, whether we're whatever, if we are in human form, there's always going to be this crossover, because I don't believe anybody's from here. There may be some earth seeds, but I believe that we've all had multiple lives everywhere. And whether we remember those or not, this lifetime is the most important lifetime, because we're bringing all of that knowledge. We're bringing all of that essence that really has made us who we are. We're evolving just as Gaia is evolving, just as the universe is evolving, just how everything will feed back eventually to source.
Right. I mean, I have to say, I was a little surprised how much ET overlay, and I really do love the ET stuff, but it really seems to be an integral part. And then I was just looking where someone said human consciousness is not of the earth. The human consciousness is of the cosmos. And that made a lot of sense to me. And consciousness obviously is more than just this planet of little apes running around. There's a huge consciousness out there that we have yet to really meet on the human scale. And that's what I think what we're being prepared for is the fact that we're about to meet a bigger field of intelligence, which we have access to if we let go of our small-mindedness. Right, Phil?
Absolutely.
No, I'm sure you have stuff to say because you've studied with the that grid system and the Hertog's work. So talk a little bit about that.
Oh, about what specifically?
You know, the
I've just-
alien influence on consciousness in general, and how it's at this point we're being upgraded to meet the others.
I was just so enthralled by just your speaking voice
Okay,
that
thank
we
you.
went somewhere else for a while.
Well, you could read the book that's coming out I wrote called Making Contact. Well, I'll ask Robert then.
I mean,
Robert.
you asked
Okay.
a very big question.
Okay.
You know,
Go back to you, Robert.
human
That's
consciousness.
okay.
Okay.
Go ahead.
No,
Go ahead, Robert.
human consciousness. Go ahead, Phil, and we'll go to Robert after.
It's a huge, huge story. What the physics and metaphysics of consciousness and creation.
Mm.
But we need to understand. I think is she still on here? Andrea brought up an interesting point when she held up her pen. You know, for that pen to be created, someone had to have the desire to create it. And it was basically invoked out of the void, you know, out of the void of unformed substance. We live in seas of consciousness, but much of that consciousness hasn't taken form in our hologram here. How things come into being is that we think them into being. And because we've given them life, we've given them purpose. And everything and everyone wants to fulfill the purpose for which they were created. And this is why we have to have such amazing gratitude for all the gifts of spirit, for all the things that are created, and everything that's created wants to express more life. And that also goes for a negative thought. Listen, folks, if you have a negative thought, that negative thought is going to want to be the greatest, manifest as the greatest negative thought, crystallizes the most negative experience in your life. Like a genie, it doesn't judge the wish. It's impelled by its nature to embody itself in an objectivity, to crystallize itself and manifest in your life. This is why we have to be so careful with our thoughts now, because as Andrea said, and we all know this, that thoughts are things. We live in seas of consciousness. Neil is absolutely right. We are all aspects of the one source. We may be fragmented, God's holy sparks, individuated aspects of the wholeness, but we retain the same qualities. We were created in the image and similitude, as the Hertaks say. We are creators also. And so we have to create always with a sense of responsibility and gratitude. And that being said, knowing where we're coming from, increasing our knowledge base, and at the same time, increasing our compassion and mercy and forgiveness and gratitude, again, for all the gifts. This is how we come into wholeness. Without that, we can never be truly whole and never truly express that.
Well, thank you for that beautiful poetic dialogue, monologue,
Now let me answer the
transmission.
question. No,
Okay.
that was
No,
the answer to the question.
Okay, no, I get that, but I wanted to talk to Robert because you go back to the Pleiades. Your consciousness is really more merged with extraterrestrial than human, isn't it?
Yes.
And so, what do you make from all this human drama here that you got yourself involved in for some reason? I mean,
it's interesting. Yeah, because I've I've been so involved in this drama for so long now. I mean, it's
don't let it get
much,
to you, Robert. But
you know what? It's pretty much like you know, you're married to your spouse for 30 years, and she, you know, or he or she drives you nuts with their constant, you know, bickering every day.
Right.
I think that's what the human race has been. I think over time, constantly.
But from your perspective,
sort of, you know, you say, "I've won out. I want to."
But from the Pleiadian perspective,
for my,
go ahead. Go ahead.
From that side, there's a lot of love and understanding. there's a lot of compassion towards this planet, which my ancestors, my star people have been so actively involved with for so long. There's a nurturing, there's a real motherly feeling here, a lot of compassion, a lot of understanding for errors, for things that for lack of involve evolution, which I think a lot of there are a lot of extraterrestrial races which have been involved with Earth, which are quite frustrated. There's different levels, of course, as we know, and some are frustrated, think, oh, Earth, come on, get your act together, get your game together, move on, you like that. But from the Palladian side, the overall that I feel and I get is that we from that side is one of a motherly patience. A loving mother is always patient with her children.
Right.
She'll chastise them and love them unconditionally, and wait for the day when they will, they'll spring forth and be who they are.
Right. Actually, I wanted to ask Darlene that question because she had all those incredible ETs around her. Did she leave? Well, I guess she'll come back. But Yvonne, you're also a kind of frequency channel. I'll ask Hildegard too. How do we start to integrate the ET consciousness into the human experience? Because it is so foreign, and what Neil was saying, it's on a whole other dimension in a sense. So how do we start to reach beyond the drama to meet the others on their level? Wait, you're muted there, Yvonne.
I think everyone has conversations with themselves and they talk to themselves. What if the conversation you're having is actually with yourself in a higher dimension, which is actually your family? In that regard, then you're always in communication. You're always able to speak with them. So it's not a matter of integration as much as it is just actually interacting with them.
Well,
Alan, can I just say something about Yvonne?
Sure, Phil. I was just looking at the chat. Yes.
I got to meet Yvonne in the digital flesh the other day at our first of our monthly walk-in meetings. Sheila, did you talk about that? Because I think that's going to be a real. I think our next meeting is going to have a lot more people, and that's going to grow from there. But the channeling, the light language that Yvonne channeled the other day, I was so impressed. I think it was about the cleanest and clearest and most lucid light language channeling I have ever heard.
Oh, really?
And that's because, again, the light language we're hearing now from so many people is so, we recognize it because it is one of our mother tongues. The first of the light languages of our higher ET selves, our multidimensional selves, will be those of the Pleiades and Sirius, because they're the closest to us genetically. And to be able to channel these light languages is directly correspondent to our level of DNA activation. Like Robert said, the Pleiadian memories will come with our 5th strand activating. The Sirian memories will come with our 6th strand, and up, Arcturus, Andromeda, Lyra. It's all a matter of the DNA is what translates and transduces that consciousness. As I said before, we have multiple extraterrestrial, not only that, meta and ultra terrestrial selves that we will merge with and expand into that consciousness the more we evolve and the more we grow spiritually.
I just want to read something in the chat and then I'll ask Hildegard to comment. Fred Russia. Hey, Fred, thanks for being here the last couple of days. It's key 405, Phil, from the Keys of Enoch. Paragraph 39 says, the goal of all life is to reach superior states of self-realization in service to creation and the divine. Well, that's the bottom line. So
that is the bottom line. If it's not in service to the world, it's the bread of shame, Kabbalistically speaking, all things meant to be shared. and all things, and to be in true, dedicated, and sincere service to the world. Yeah.
Right. Thank you. Hildegard, I know you just gave a presentation today. If people want to look at the past presentations, if you're just tuning in now, you can find that. But it was quite dramatic when you realized that the consciousness you thought you were, or programmed to think you were, wasn't who you were. And you start to access a bigger realm, and talk about that, how that shifted your vibration, actually, when you realized that consciousness was much larger.
That was a key revelation to me, actually, when I realized I was not this machinery, and I could tune it like a radio, and I could entertain all of those things that were floating by, and literally pick, these restaurants where you can take things off a conveyor belt. Okay. That's like, suddenly I realized I didn't have to be a victim in this, with a broken body, with the whole world seemingly against me. I could actually choose the experience I wanted to have. To me, I didn't know at the time how I was going to go about making that happen, but at least I now had a vision. I had a direction. When this manuscript flowed into me one night, God, Muhammad, Allah, somebody, I don't care what your name is, please help me. I have 3 little kids and no health, and maybe a death sentence down the road, as a doctor said, we don't know what's wrong with you. Maybe you're making it all up, postpartum depression. So that, to me, then, when this message from this book, Never Enough, it's a manuscript, it's not out yet, will be coming out, of, is it fear you're choosing? Is it love? In the indigenous tradition, which wolf do you feed? This typical story of the grandpa out in the wilderness, and at night there is a wolf howling. And the wise grandfather just says, well, which wolf are you going to feed? And that is exactly it. We can choose love over fear. Fear is constrictive. The fight and flight is very limited. I have tunnel vision. But if I have the courage to just open that window a little, and open that a little, and then step into it one step at a time. Now, that is not computing with our logical mind, obviously, or at least not with mine. My logical mind wanting to know how and when and how much and how it's going to go. And that is the biggest battle. So to me, having the privilege of seeing that other, or accessing that other aspect of consciousness, as Andrea said earlier, it's all out there. We just have to grab it. Yeah, and then that's to integrate it and live according, and stick to your value, stick to your belief system, those that serve you, those values that you do no longer need. Have the courage to abandon them. And that is the tough part.
Right. Let me ask Yvonne, and then I'll go back to you, Phil, because it's such a hard part, the integration part. You went through quite a traumatic time until you could finally say, oh yeah, this is who I really am. So what is the key to integrating the expanded consciousness back into the human dimension, or beyond it? I mean, if there is a key, maybe it's well, how did you do it? What finally clicked for you?
I think it was light language that clicked for me. That's because when I didn't know what else to ask for, I would just use the languages and let that take its flight and do what it needed to do. And then I'd find that I had the answer pretty quickly after that. So I've used light language for 20 something years now, maybe a little longer. And it's my go-to, because it's the way I communicate with source. It's the way I communicate with angels, with my own DNA and body. It's the way I communicate with the world, with even nature. It's my connection.
Well, maybe you could do a little bit towards the end of this discussion. Like, Phil, what were you going to say? Thank you, Yvonne. What were you going to say?
No, I wasn't going to, I don't want to put my foot in my mouth anymore. See, put my foot in my mouth.
What do you got there?
It's a foot.
Oh, how human of you. Okay.
Thank you. I'm always putting my foot in my mouth. No,
exactly.
I have nothing more to say. I'll try to stay on most of the day tomorrow, and I will be doing a blessing at the end that I'm really, really excited about, and playing some harp music. I'm just so thrilled.
What?
I'm just so thrilled to just be a part of this. And I saw a question, what if you feel you're not from anywhere else except from here? Well, know that you are. Know that our divinity is intrinsic. Know that we are truly multidimensional beings, and that memory will come back. And the biggest blocks to that memory seem to be an unwillingness on our part to be honest with ourselves about
Right.
maybe ways that, in order to forgive ourselves, to express gratitude, to express compassion and mercy, take responsibility. The memory will come back. It's there, you know? And I think we will know the full revelation of ourselves in time. This is our destinies. You know?
Someone says on the New Reality chat, Phil is very interesting, full of information. Does he have a channel? Do you have a channel, Phil? YouTube channel?
Do I have a channel? I am a channel.
YouTube
No,
YouTube channel.
I'm on channel low 24/7. I don't know who's coming through. You know who's coming through now? It's Phil. Phil is the sum total.
Well, welcome, Phil, to Planet Earth.
And I walked in at 6 years old. I'll talk about that a little bit, maybe tomorrow, maybe a little bit at the next conference, or certainly at the next support. Sheila, it's a support group, mainly that monthly meeting for walk-ins. And for those of you out there who believe and who know your star seeds, earth seeds, this is an amazing forum to meet people of like minds, you know, kindred spirits, to really try to make sense of our lives in the context of understanding and listening to all of our stories, and find the commonalities in those stories to make sense of our lives.
I am interested, if anyone's watching on any platform, if they are suddenly discovering that they may be a walk-in by watching these last 2 days. If you are, you could put it in the chat or email Sheila. Sheila, talk about your organizations and how people can continue dialoguing about these experiences.
Sure. Well, the organization itself was an outgrowth of conversations just like we've been having over the past 2 days by the people who were in the book that I wrote, Walk-Ins, Cosmology of the Soul. And we just continued that dialogue. And we were finding that there were so many people that were contacting us individually as well as collectively that were having these experiences, but they didn't have community. They didn't have a place to talk. They didn't know, where to go. And so we decided that we would expand what we were doing and invite everyone in, because whether we are a walk-in, a starseed, an indigo, whether we feel like that we have never had any type of experience, but we're interested in spiritual growth and expansion, this is a place that people can come and share in a safe container. It's kind of like a little nest that we've built for support. And they can sign up by going to cosmicsoulsonearth.com. And we've been meeting on a monthly basis. I've been getting some requests to maybe consider doing this bi-monthly. So we'll, let's see how our next meeting goes. And if we need to, and if there's a need, we're happy to do that. We're also, because we have people from all over the world that are part of this group, we're really trying to look at the best day, the best time, so we can accommodate everybody's schedule. But when you're looking at a worldwide audience, it's kind of hard to do that. So we meet the first Thursday of every month, and it's from 6 until 8. And we would love to have anybody who is interested in continuing this type of dialogue, who's interested in spiritual growth and expansion, because we have time that we can share among ourselves, but then we also have kind of like a program for about 30-40 minutes. Next month, actually, Yvonne is going to be presenting on light language. And so if people want to continue that experience, please sign up, cosmicsoulsonearth.com.
Okay, I'll
I
just
think you're going to have to upgrade your Zoom plan after the next meeting, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah,
That's-
it's getting pretty.
But you
That's
know, it's all
hilarious.
like outgrowths from Portal to Ascension. Neil, I got to tell you, we're like all, in a way, we're like your children. And so many movements have sprouted from that original desire
Hmm.
to help
Uh,
people to be of true dedicated world service. I think we can all be really very happy and very grateful.
Okay, I have
Really
another
are.
question in the chat
Yeah,
on the
really
New
do.
Realities YouTube. People
Thank you.
ask, someone asked about the virus. I know we talked about this yesterday with Emma Louise, but is this an upgrade? Is this a kind of downgrade? Is it a challenge? Is it what do people feel this whole? I think it was a time for us to all go inward and find out who we are, but that's what do other people
I'll comment on
feel?
that first.
Yeah, please, Neil, of course. Yeah.
So for a while, like, I mean, as you can see from my presentation, I sit and contemplate about some things and it takes me down rabbit holes, right? So like I had thought, I'd been thinking for a long time, what is it that we need? Pre 2012, I thought it was an overnight process. After 2012, I realized it was about living more presently, right? And then, so I thought, what would it take for people to be able to start concentrating on the consciousness of everything, right? And realizing the truth and deconstructing things. So, and I know even within the conscious community, there's a split between of universal basic income people and then those who think that's like communist, right? So I was thinking, I guess UBI could be one thing. Maybe what we really need is our basic needs met so that we have more time to focus on our relationships, spirituality,
Creativity, yes.
creativity, things that give us passion. And, even though say that we all had a basic needs met and all the fundamental religious people that maybe are off their true alignment still continued being that. But I feel just the action of being in their passion and creativity allows people to have an eventual process where these things start fading away. And then we start realizing the true things that connect us all. Plus, we already know governments, elite, divide and conquer is literally in doctrine, right? It's their dogma in their scriptures, divide and conquer. So if we didn't have that force and that element, it would really help. So I felt people needed the basic needs met, and I didn't know what was going to happen in order to get that. But instead what happened was COVID. And then all of a sudden, like, because people needed the basic needs met so they could spend some more time on themselves and on their relationships and the spirituality. What happened was they were forced into this experience through COVID from a mandatory lockdown. It was like a forced dark night of the soul, right? And I was like, wow, I never thought that this is the way it was going to manifest, So, but it is happening like that. And I'm talking like when COVID first started, I was doing like deliveries for people, right? And like getting some extra income, so doing deliveries. And I was linking up with, I was probably one of the people in the first month that met, like, I was probably the top 5% of the people in the US. Oh, did I get disconnected? That really
No,
interacted with so many people. And I was asking them these questions all the time, like, and having conversations, and people from across the board were just saying, like, I feel this is more of a time for us to reflect. So it wasn't just within the conscious community. Random people were saying that. And then one person I even met, like, he was an 89-year-old gentleman, and I had to deliver him groceries because he had cancer and diabetes and he had to stay away from COVID. So we're 12 feet away from each other, like 2 months, like 2 weeks into COVID. And he was saying, oh, I think this is the earth telling us that we've been neglecting it. So I feel for the most part, a lot of us are having that reflection. However, I think now we've had enough. a lot of people are getting frustrated. The people that were
Right.
okay before are starting to not be okay now. You know what I mean?
Well, it's always lasts a little longer. It's the endurance test, And I agree. Universal income would be the way to get us all to a level playing field where we can do what we incarnated to do, which is to be creative, to be adventurous, to speak, to gather. So that's my input. Sheila, you were going to say something.
Yeah, I have to admit, when we first went on lockdown, there was something inside of me that got so excited. And I kept thinking that I shouldn't be feeling this way. This is wrong. Don't be feeling this way. This is, a disaster. But I was so excited. And the people that I would talk to were so excited. They were finishing art projects. They were creating music. They were writing books. People finally had the time that they could drop into themselves. And I think that was such a beautiful experience, because that's an example of, if we could take away this monetary system and have our needs met, that people would be able to flourish and their gifts and talents would just pour out. So as much tragedy as there is, and I don't want to, make light of, the experiences, the negativity that people have experienced, because that's very real too. But on this spiritual level, I've been excited by that.
Yes, Andrea. Yeah.
COVID, I felt it coming. I just didn't know what it was. And on January 24th, I was reading an article about this new emerging coronavirus in Wuhan province. And I got about halfway through the article and I sat back in my chair and I said, this is it. This is the paradigm shift. This is going to change everything. Yeah. And I said it out loud to my dog, who, seemed to understand exactly what I was saying, because I was alone.
It's probably Pleiadian walk-in. That's why.
Yeah, she probably is. But I knew immediately. I knew immediately that this was what I'd been feeling, what I had been anticipating, that this was going to, the whole notion of the paradigm shift is that whatever transpires, nothing is going to be the same on the other side of it. Nothing is.
Yes.
This was an opportunity for the hubris to wash away, that sense of immortality that so many of us feel, especially the youngest among us. And we've seen how that's backfired, how in their sense of, I'm impervious to this. It's no worse than a cold, and then they all party on the beach where I live in Florida, and then all go home to, 35 states and take it with them. Right. And it spread like wildfire. There was an inevitability about it because of our lack of dealing with it directly. But it was also an opportunity for the entire world to confront their mortality simultaneously. It is also an opportunity for the entire world to feel profound loss. Before this is over, we are all going to either know someone who perished or know of someone through a close associate who has perished. As I said earlier today, one of my producers has lost 16 members of his family in the last 2 weeks, of his extended family. They're gone. They're gone because they got together to celebrate Thanksgiving, because they said, it's worth the risk. Well, was it? Was it worth the risk? I mean, these are the questions that we have to ask each other. And most of the people that contact me on a regular basis, who, it's so strange. I mean, years and years ago, I was a counselor in a school for developmentally challenged and behaviorally challenged boys. And I was a clinical therapist, but I was also the grief counselor. I was trained to be a grief counselor at this live-in school, which technically it was a reform school, but they don't call it that anymore. It's all a matter of PC and semantics. But, these kids, because most of these boys had known so much abuse, so much neglect, so much loss in their lives, that when the few people that they were attached to would die, it was a complete, utter, total breakdown. It was slipping into the abyss. It was, a void that could not be filled. And that's when I learned that you cannot console inconsolable grief, but what you can do is listen. And because I'm a writer, and because I'm very happy living an insulated, isolated life, I have not struggled in any way with the quarantine, with the lockdown. To me, it was like, oh, I have all this time to finish this project and this project. And I mean, it was a creative explosion for me. But I have to be cognizant of the fact that is not how most people are relating to it, because most people are very social creatures. And the sudden break in that has caused us to expose each other all the more, because we do take the risk. So I think that it has caused a level of spiritual ascension and a way of going inward and looking inward. You know, people now have time. I can't tell you how many people have contacted me and said, I saw something remarkable in the sky, absolutely remarkable, unlike anything I've ever seen. And my response was, did you go out? Were you just sitting outside, just being in nature, just looking up?
Exactly. Well, I also like what Hildegard said in her talk about going into uncertainty. That's the upside of that, right, Hildegard, where you say, repeat what you said for people just listening for the first time, because I thought that was really brilliant.
Well, thank you, Alan. I think for me, the biggest challenge was to become comfortable with not knowing.
Yes.
And all of us here in this conference have had physical challenges, losses. I can so relate to what you were saying, Andrea. These children who had no love, that nobody took care for them, they were abandoned by everybody. Well, that's my walk-in experience. From one day to the next, just look at your life for a second, all the people in it, whatever, job, money, colleagues, friends, family, and from one moment to the next, there is nobody. The people may be embodied there, but you don't have that connection. And I think, to me, learning to just fall into that great unknown, to have no answers, and then go with your journal book. This is my cure. Like in the deepest situation where my mind could not make heads or tail out of anything, and I didn't know what to do the next minute. In the journal, things came out in poetry. I love your poetry, by the way, Neil, and I need to go and hear more and see more. Such an inspiration. For me, the poetry was telling me what was so, and especially in grief.
But there was
I
something.
lost my dad, you know, earlier this year. I lost my dad. I came off the plane from Germany, and I'm sitting here. I have not processed this. I have to process it with my journal book. So I hear what you say. Lots of people are passing. Why? I don't know. Yes, it might be COVID. It might also be soul not choosing to experience these rapidly ramped up energies. I don't know if you saw the moon on the 29th of December.
Yeah.
I took a short video out. A friend called me at like 11 o'clock at night and said, did you see this? It was a cloudy night here in Toronto, and I'm not far from Lake Ontario. Normally, the moon does not rise that far north. It's weird. And then it had this huge corona around it. And then when I watched this by mistake, I took a video. And I see this little round dot going into this corona, around it all cloud. And it was as if, you know, my aspect, the Andromedan, Louis Mars saying, see, isn't it fun?
But you also said something about going into the unknown is where the real adventure lies for everyone, because what we're projecting into the unknown is just what we know. And this has been a time of adventure because now anything is possible. We just saw the impossible. The whole world has actually come together in a single thought, whether you're for it or against it or believe it or don't. We're all aligned in a way we've never been before, which I think makes it easier to meet the others, because this is the shift. This is what the Tibetans call the bardo. The bardo is a passageway, and we're still in the passageway, and it's going to be here, someone said, and I believe for a little bit longer, until
not another year.
Yeah.
This is brilliant what you just said with the bardo, because it's really when a baby is born, and I was fortunate enough to have that experience. Without any medication or anything, you're fully conscious, you are fully in tune with your intuition. And it's almost like now as a collective, as a species, we are in this birth canal. And this birth of this new human is happening. And when I speak of the human, I mean the collective human race is being birthed into the galactic human, the intergalactic human, who knows? And to me, that's what excites me. I'm so happy now that I have dealt with a lot of the old program and found my family here, my soul family.
But we can't tell normal people how happy we are about COVID-19.
Well,
you know, we can't.
I wouldn't say I'm happy, but I hear you. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wait,
I mean,
Robert, what do
I look
go
at
ahead.
it as having saved us in many ways, and
It
you know, in a
opened
wide
our eyes.
variety of ways. And yet I can't say that to the vast majority of people, because they're like, you know, how sick are you for all the sadness and the loss and the grief and the death and the, you know, well, but that's part of the process. That's what makes it so real.
Right.
You know,
it was
I
a
mean,
global awakening for sure. I mean, it still is. Right,
It still is.
Robert, you were saying it's going to be, what was your prognosis, Robert?
Just touching on what everyone has said, we are pretty much moving quite, we are moving quite rapidly in the shift of the consciousness of the planet, and COVID and these things that are happening, are helping people awake. There's a lot of death and destruction associated with a lot of misery. But these things are sort of are starting to sort of manifest
maybe
in this physical reality.
Maybe this was the only way we could wake up. Possibly.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
There's a way. I mean, it is a manifestation. It's as it is a spiritual origin, and it's something which when people are more attuned, people like ourselves here, we see a greater aspect behind this physical manifestation, this virus. We see a greater picture, whereas the common people who are not aware will just see it as a virus of death and destruction, and we'll think we're mad, we're loopy. If we try and put a positive spin around this, we think we were nuts. And
don't you think maybe that could be like the timeline shifting?
Looks like it.
Very much, Sheila. Yes, this timeline is shifting in such a big way.
Well, it's shifting to an unknown place. I mean, it's shifting to some place that we have yet to. We're like hacking our way through the woods after the path has ended, and it's up to us to create the future. Then, right? Yvonne, do you want to just jump in and talk about just to translate that in vibration? Because as you bring in light language, you are actually also creating the future there.
Yeah, that's so vi ndala kulonori isokwa sirondolava e kai ero sokonea hadavis kula ita ando na di kula ito kulma have si ola hura haketola aratokabaishi ondala makoya ha ore mi silokona maka toramatile sikulama. So we relax into the flow. Just relax into the flow. Not worried about what you see out there. What do you know in here? Stay true to that. Toramahia.
Thank you.
Well, Phil, you're a translator of light language. What did you get?
What did she say? What did she say? Can you please translate?
No, I get it vibrationally, but
yeah, I get the gist of it. It was something like.
You want her to repeat it?
Here, now, always, and forever, in eternal, abiding, reverent love of the eternal all one. Blessed be embracing, given forth from the still point of eternal peace. spoken as it is stated, as so it is done, in the best collective divine intention. Something like that.
That's what he said. That's what I said.
There you go.
Yeah, can I
I
add
gotta
something?
bounce. I'll see you all tomorrow. I'll try to be on for most of the
Okay.
day.
All right, see you,
Okay.
Phil.
Okay. Lots of love, everybody.
Thanks for your
Thank you.
translation. We'll quote.
Bye, Philip.
Bye,
Okay.
Phil. I just wanted to add something.
Yeah.
Just two things. Okay, so firstly, what you explained was a psychedelic plant medicine journey. You're the unknown. Not you're taking something, and the fear is literally where are you going to go? You know,
Who
the
you
fear.
talking? Who you talking
what,
to?
what you explained when you said that this is the unknown. It's
Oh, yeah.
almost like we're on a psychedelic journey without
Right.
the use of psychedelics, because that's the number one fear I have every time I do any psychedelics is you have no idea where you're going to be taken. You know, you might be
Right.
sitting with your great granddad who passed away and has some unresolved things, and you might have a conversation with him. You know, so it's
Isn't
like,
it great we don't need psychedelics anymore?
yeah, it's happening. But then
Speak
also,
for yourself.
what is this and that, okay, this and that. But what are the two biggest fears that we have on earth? The fear of public speaking, number one, the fear of death, right? What has COVID forced many people to do? People who weren't teachers are now teachers. People who weren't communicating are now communicating. And a lot of people, because all this other bullshit has dropped, it's now allowed them to step into the authenticity. Some people have gone down the antisocial route, of course, but then a lot of people have actually, I've witnessed, stepped up to be their own creators because of this. So the two biggest fears seem to be being confronted right now. And what do we need to do in order to ascend is to confront those fears.
And go back into ourselves. This is what I think the whole walk-in conference for these last 2 days and tomorrow. Everyone has a soul, and that soul is infinitely intelligent.
Yes.
We just have to start to make contact with it. And the human experience is an intense way to do that. And that's why we have so much assistance now, because it's like we're at this crossroads. I think
we as walk-ins have it a little bit easier.
I was just getting ready to say that.
Oh, you go and take it away, baby.
No, you do it. Go ahead.
Because we have experienced ourselves on the floor with nowhere to go but up. And we experienced ourselves so high up that we think we don't want to go down there anymore. So I know that death is much like physicists say, you know, energy is not dissolving. It just changes form.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And there is a bigger picture here. And I know that my small processing unit here, my little hard drive up there, is not capable of comprehending the big picture. And we saw it during Neil's presentation, I should speak for myself,
Right.
how, and I love this stuff, I'm into it. The first books I read after my walk-in was all about physics. Well, these smart physicists should know if nobody else does. And it brings me to the point where I'm saying, for me, having that faith into the bigger game plan, something smarter than my conditioned program, is operating this big play. Whatever the play is, I don't claim to know what the game is, really. All I know that in the process of me getting to where I am today on this almost 30-year journey, only now having the guts to even show my face to you, you know, talking about this, much like a woman in the chat earlier said, it's almost like you're coming out of the closet as an LGBTQ person or queer or lesbian or whatever, you know, and it seems to be like that. And I have this faith that in the end of the day, all is in divine order. And I can't find another word for divine. I like to call it cosmic order. Last but not least, the Andromedans told me about the isness. So other dimensional intelligence that have higher spiritual consciousness, higher fire power and healing technique, whatever, they still haven't figured out what that force is.
Well, it's the mystery, right? That's what we're all.
Yes.
But well, I want to ask Robert. Robert, you've had so much incredible experiences. If you haven't seen Robert's presentation, watch the replay. And so every time you come back into a body, you say, "Oh my God, I'm back on Earth again," or do you say,
Yes.
"I'm going to see how I can fix this one? I mean, what's your experience of that?
Well, the ironical thing is, after the Adlai Stevenson lifetime, I was pretty much, as I said earlier on, told pretty much I'd finished my contract, long-term contract over so many eons of time on Earth, and I'm free to return back. And I was pretty much toying with that. Within, I jumped into this lifetime. But yeah, I'm pretty much now. Oh look, there won't
You
be
wanted
no
to do
more
one more
jumping into
tour of
lifetimes.
duty. Is that it? No, go
No,
ahead.
no more. No, I'm pulling out of Vietnam.
You are, but what have you learned from it all?
Yeah.
What did you get from? I mean, yeah, what was it all for?
It is all for love. It is for nothing but love. Love, love, love.
Right.
The essence of love, the learning through so many situations, so many experiences that we come to realize that it seems so simple, but it's such a hard concept to learn and practice. But love, learning to love and be able to integrate your true self, and that is love. That is just love energy. We are love. That is source energy. That is God, whatever we like to call it. So I'm so I take away a treasure trove of beautiful experiences on Earth, but my soul was calling me back to where my heart belongs, like Dorothy and the Wizard of Oz. Her heart was always in Kansas, so even though she went to the magical city of Oz. But yeah, so this is for me, my soul calling me back, and that's. But yeah, I carry all those beautiful experiences, and it's just all an incredible experience of love, and I will continue in whatever time I have left in physical incarnation, back in that Pleiades system, love, learning, love, experiencing love, ascending in love.
Great. I just want to read a comment in the chat. I feel like I found my family that I've lost. So blessed to be here. Yes, love that everyone really listens and appreciates the experience of each other. Wonderful. Thank you all so much for offering this. I was feeling very hopeless after the events of this week in our country, and now I have something to focus my energy back into. Thank you, Jennifer.
Yeah, I think that it is safe for us to dare to have faith, to dare to hope that all of this will be resolved. There's a wonderful phrase that I've come across for years, and it didn't really make complete sense to me until this week. And I'm telling you, I may have had 10 hours of sleep since last Tuesday. I mean, I have been transfixed on the news and feeling everything that's going on, and watching images that are being impaled into my mind. And yet I keep coming back to this same thing. All will be well in the end. If it's not well yet, then it's not the end.
Right.
This all has to happen. It's all happening for a reason. And if we are each, I think of all humanity, all humanoids, all existence as the living, breathing embodiment of God consciousness, or source consciousness. And the way that the creator of all of it sees its own creation and interacts with its own creation and evolves within its own creation. And this is all part of our evolution. And this was our big wake-up call in this country this week. It came.
Well, and this like whole crisis. I want to say hello to the lovely Sharmila. Thanks for joining us, Sharmila. That's Mrs. Gruber for those people who don't know.
Oh, she is lovely. Look how beautiful.
Beautiful, yeah.
Sharmila just wanted to jump in and say hello. Alan was the best man at our wedding.
Right. So Sharmila, what do you think of all this?
Nice to meet all of you.
She's so polite. Yes. But do you know what we're talking about, Sharmila? I guess
No, she's going. She's going.
Oh,
She's
well,
gone.
never
So
mind.
am I. Bye.
All right, you're going to. But anyway, Neil, what's the schedule here? Should we just close with a couple of just
Yes.
statements by everyone, like to wrap it all
Yeah,
up?
and then I'll be last, and I can do a poem to transition
Right,
us out.
and then Sheila can also talk about tomorrow a little bit. But Yvonne, thank you for being here today. Do you have anything you want to leave us with? It could be light language or it could be English, whatever you
Oh,
want.
sure. I'll give a transmission to bless our sleep tonight. Seems like some of us may be needing that.
Thank
Okay.
you.
This
Thank
is for you,
you.
You know
Andrea.
what? I just want to say last night I had the strangest dreams. Now that I'm just remembering it, it was so multifaceted. Something else was going on in my dream world. So yeah. So,
Mhm.
okay.
Yay.
So go ahead. Thanks.
Daravisilutun karama ashkina olai udukula daramalokura matsisa bakohina. Halataroba kulukushima diaka. Haravarosote elekaya kuruka kayishudabokoi. I feel joy.
Joy.
Hold that frequency of joy. Daramokiva. Yeah.
Princess
Beautiful.
Buttercup would like to say hello and good night to everyone.
Oh,
Good
She
night.
beautiful,
1 year ago
Buttercup.
today, I rescued her. And then she
Oh,
rescued me right back.
Can you-
Back.
oh,
she's cute. Is that a dachshund?
She's a Chihuahua, but she French kisses. So it's kind of a multi-international thing she's got going.
Wow.
oh.
Robert, do you want to say something? Just
Very simple. Look, I love you all so much, and we just love each other, love the planet, love everything that's in it. And then we progress, and we're more of a happier species.
Thank you.
Hopefully we can get every being on that bandwagon.
That's a Pleiadian message, isn't it?
It is.
Yeah.
It is indeed.
Well, give my regards to the folks back home, okay?
I will.
Thank you.
Bless
Thank
you.
you. Okay, Hildegard, thank you for being here and sharing your intense life experiences. It was quite graphic, but it was great. Yeah. So
Can't help it. It is what it is, right? And if I may, let me just give you just 6 lines of one of the poems I wrote.
Yeah.
You are precious and powerful, more than you can possibly imagine. You are here for a reason and can make life better. You are a diamond in the rough. Come on, shake off the rubble. You can step out of the darkness and show us your sparkle.
Beautiful.
So thank you, all of you, for sharing your sparkle with me. I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Hildegard, you are.
Thank you.
I love you all, but Hildegard, I feel a very special. I'm drawn very much to you. I have a feeling we're from the same place, and I don't believe that we've ever met in person, but I suspect that we will in time.
We need to connect.
But the thing that is so important about this event, and I was thinking about it, and I was talking with my mom, who you saw slip by an hour ago, off to bed. But I was talking about her after I spoke earlier in the day. And I said, Mom, it's really amazing because these incredible people have all come together in light and are putting all of this information out into the world, all these different perspectives. And yet it's all really coming from the same place. It's coming from a deep and profound connection with source energy, with higher love. And I said to her, it could be that this one webinar, this one paranormal conference, whatever you call this, gathering of the souls, this reuniting of family, will reach one person who taps into this and so significantly change their mind about how they are and how they integrate with the world, that they come out of their own darkness and they become the light they seek. And that one singular individual has all the power to change the world. And that's what can come out of this. And so for me, it is truly an uplifting and an inspiring time to, and so perfectly timed for everything that is transpiring in the world right now, that I just want you all to know that I higher love you, and I am truly grateful for your companionship. And Yvonne, your light language is magnificent, sweetheart. It's magnificent. And I understood every word.
Blessings. Thank
Beautiful.
you.
That
I
is a
appreciate
great
that.
tribute, Andrea. We should cut that and put that on the web right there, Neil, that little speech. Well, it's been great for me. Thank you. It is a sparkle, Hildegard. You could see the sparkle in everyone, because it's not just the human that's speaking in these. It's the soul that's coming through the human, and that's what's so amazing. What your vision, Sheila, for creating this. I think on some level, this is what the intention was, to see the essence of people speak from the soul.
Yes,
And so
absolutely.
thank you.
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, I couldn't be happier. I love the audience. I love all this interaction that people are doing. I'm glad people feel like they're coming home. This is so amazing. And, you know, we all have so much to share on many, many levels. But you're right. It's kind of like this resonance within us that kind of rises up and comes out. And I believe that is the resonance of our soul. And tomorrow, let me.
Well, before you get there, I just want to acknowledge everyone in the chat, everyone who's been here, the 50 people are still here from the morning. Or back and forth. Pick up the replay when you get a chance. Go to Portal to Ascension. I guess Neil will talk about that. But thank you, because everyone here who's listening and watching, their energy is just as much a part of everything that's being said.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Right. You know, when you're at a workshop and you're talking to people, you can feel that synergy starting to build within the group. And that's the same thing that's here.
Yeah.
You can just
synergy.
feel it. Yeah.
Yes.
It's beautiful.
Okay.
Beautiful. So to everybody, thank you so much.
Okay. What were you going to say? I didn't mean to interrupt you. Yes. You were saying about
tomorrow.
Yes.
Yes. Okay. So tomorrow we'll start at the same time, and that will be 10 Pacific time. And then actually after our opening, Alan has a presentation for us.
Yes, and I'm going to be talking about something I've never shared before publicly, which is my recent journey of the soul, a past life as it led into this life, and my connection with the ETs. And it's, as I was thinking about what I was going to talk about these next, when you asked me to say something, it just sort of came that I need to share this because it's so deep for me, the soul's journey. And it was quite traumatic. You'll see tomorrow that it was very intense to have that experience and come back and be so excited about the earth plane. So I'll see where that goes. I don't know. We'll see. But yeah, it's an unknown country. Yes. Okay.
Great. And then at 11:10, Alan is going to introduce Gail Mack,
who was one of I met Gail, or should I give it away? I met her.
Sure, go ahead.
I met her at the Temple of Isis in Egypt.
Wow.
where I saw her really transform into Isis. It's like, I looked around, we were doing a big trip to Egypt, a bunch of us, maybe 70. And I'll tell that tomorrow. And like, I look around and I said, this woman is like bringing in Isis. And she had her hand raised. I have this on video. And then she went into the inner chamber and she gave blessings to everyone as she kind of brought the Isis energy through in the temple of Isis on the island of Philae in the lower Nile. It's like, where did this woman come from? But anyway, that was how long ago? I think this is our 20th year anniversary. Yes. Oh no, it's a 30, 1991. I guess it was 30 years.
29,
wow.
yep.
Wow,
Yeah.
30 years.
30, yeah.
It seems like, well, anyway, I'll tell that tomorrow too with Gail. But yes, Gail
Yeah.
is coming tomorrow, and she still brings in a lot of love and higher energies. And she's also an herbalist and
A natural path.
a naturopath. Yes.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
And then at 12:10, we have Maya Nartumit. And Maya is a scribe of Thoth. And she had been bringing in his message since she was just a young child. And it's very fascinating. She's going to share with us what Thoth says about the soul and the journey of the soul. And then we have Indon Clark. And Indon has actually studied a lot with Maya. And Indon has been doing his own research into how we are transforming on a physical level. So he's going to share some phenomenal information about that. Then we have Rob Gauthier at 2:10. And Rob, he's a wonderful guy. You can check him out at the ET Whisperer. He channels many, many different beings, two of which are Treb, who is a fifth dimensional density being, and Aradiv, who is a sixth density being. And then at 3:10, we have my beloved teacher, Jeremy Lecron. And Jeremy is the one who truly, truly helped me to integrate, who held my hand, who kind of dragged me down the path, kicking and screaming some days. But she has a beautiful story to share. And then at 4:10, we're going to have some question and answer by the audience. And then at 5:50, all of the speakers are going to come back. And everyone is going to give a little blessing or kind of summarize what the conference has meant to them. And so that's what we have planned. And then at the very, very end, Phil, who kind of popped in and out, is going to give us a closing blessing as well. But now we've got Neil, and Neil's going to share one of his phenomenal poems with us.
Thank you. All right. Are we gonna do we want to close out right after this? Are we saying bye right now to everybody?
Sure. No, yeah, I guess so. Unless you want to hang out another 8 hours, but no. No, let's.
Okay.
Sure. Yeah. Okay. So you're closing it out, Neil. But you
Yes,
want to just give a
yes.
little commercial about people watching and then do the poem about tomorrow and how to sign up if you're new.
Yes. So so everybody who's watching online, we're getting a lot of actual people watching the free Q&A right now. Just to let you know, we did one yesterday, so you can go back to the YouTube channel or the Facebook that you're on and watch the one from yesterday. And we're going to do one tomorrow. So if you want to just attend that at night, please do. But then if you want to attend this conference for tomorrow, you can go to the description. The comments should both be there. The link for this conference. You can sign up. You not only will receive access for tomorrow, but you have unlimited, infinite replay access forever. So when you transition to another reality, you can probably tap into the Akashic Records and watch it too. So it's forever. It's going to be as long as the internet's still up. That is. So please do come and join us. This has been awesome. A lot of great energy here. And now I also want to say that in the last 2 hours, I just created and produced a whole conference, and it's going to happen next week. It's an impromptu pop-up. So while I've been on here, I've been actually creating this event page, and Phil's going to be on it. And I just realized this is a perfect opportunity really to tell you about it because it's free or by donation, and it's all sound healing. It's all day sound healing. I have 5 different sound healers that utilize different tools. I have Michael De Maria, who's like an epic, like award-winning flute player. We have Peter Sterling, who's an award-winning harpist. We have Phil Gruber. So if you're interested, I was going to send an email out, so all of you guys will get this for sure. But I'm telling you guys here specifically just so that you have it in your consciousness in this moment, because this could actually be your continuation, your integration for this event. You can think of it like that, where you're going to come to this event and there's going to be sound healing for 30 minutes, spoken word by me, sound healing for 30 minutes, spoken word by me. That's how it's going to be all day. And then for the last 2 hours, I'm going to do a 2-hour presentation on quantum physics and sound healing and how they're connected. So if you're interested, check that out on our website. And also, I just put up an event with William Henry. We're doing an event with William Henry on February 14th called Love and the Angelic Uprising, a 3-hour presentation with William Henry. That's all on the website. So please do go ahead and check that out. All right, guys.
Oh, wait. And what about my event that we're
yeah.
doing?
So I think we'll do a full announcement and explain it tomorrow.
Okay.
But let me just say that we're also doing a course with Alan Steinfeld that we've done already 2 events with Alan. One was remote viewing, basic principles. One was advanced remote viewing. And now we're doing, what is it, 4 weeks course? Yeah, 4-week course with Alan on remote viewing starting.
It'll be like a school, like we're going to get a group collective, because I learned remote viewing from Russell Targ, who really created it along with Hal Puthoff at Stanford Research Institute. And we had such a great group last time that we wanted to get together and people learn the basics really quickly. And we wanted to, there it is, it's a course, and we wanted to make this a collective effort. So it's not like, can you remote view? It's already given that you can. And how can we work together to discover the secrets of other planetary civilizations, what's under the pyramids, what's inside the moon? We're going to work as a cohesive group, because everybody gets a little piece when you start to learn the basics of remote viewing. It's very exciting. So sign up for this course. Even if you haven't done the basics, I'll do a quick review and then boom, because consciousness is non-local. That's what the foundation of remote viewing is, and this conference is all about it. And we can always get it on the Akashic record too. You don't have to sign up if you're looking on the Akashic. So okay.
And what I'll do is, everybody, before I get into the spoken word, is on the replay email, you're going to get a link for IXO, which is the Institute for Exo Consciousness, the one with 4 of the speakers are on this platform, on this conference here. You'll get a link for that. You'll get a link for Alan Steinfeld's remote viewing course. And you'll also get, what else are you going to get? Yeah, my end presentation too, just so you can have it there. And there's going to be a discount code, so you guys can get a discount and to attend the event. So stay tuned.
So you're giving people who are here a discount because they've already part of the Portal to Ascension group.
And let me just throw this in there too, that, we're doing fairly well, actually extremely well over the last year. So we're at the point now where we don't turn anybody away for not being able to attend an event. So if you cannot attend an event, just shoot me an email. You can donate or you can attend. And what we do is we cover the difference. So we pay the speakers 70%, 50 to 70, depending on the type of event. And what the difference is, we actually will cover and pay the speakers still. So if you want to attend and you can't afford it, don't let that stop you, because we really need this to get out to a lot of people right now. And I believe that the more we give, the more abundance that will come to us. And after implementing it for so long, it's actually working. So let's roll with it.
Thank you, Neil. Thanks for today, Sheila, Neil, everybody. It's been amazing. Vibrationally very high. Yeah.
All right. So here we go, everybody. We're gonna go through a journey with spoken word, and these 2 are both untitled, and they're gonna be a part of a hip hop song that I'm putting together. And the first one is just our journey basically through the cosmos, and then the second one is more of an Earth experience about my incarnations for the last 2,000 years. So here we go. So let's take a few deep breaths actually and center ourselves. And consider this a meditation, an activation through spoken word. Just like Andrea was saying, our thoughts are things, and then our thoughts creates words, and we speak them, and they all become reality. A conversation that we had, Sheila and I, about creating a walk-ins conference became an actual tangible event, right? That's how reality works.
Yes.
So as we take a deep breath in through the nose, exhale through the mouth, inhale again through the nose, exhale through your mouth. And keep just breathing normally. What we're gonna do, I'm gonna cue us. We're gonna do 3 ohms before I begin. So let's all take a deep breath in through the nose, and we're gonna begin the ohms. Inhale. Breathe in. One more time. Breathe in. Deep inhale. I generate the rhymes that penetrate timelines, travel back into worlds unseen and unheard. In the beginning was the word, unfathomed. The illusion of reality is blurred. A dimension with words were slurred, not quite yet articulated. Dualistic experiences were not yet incurred. So I fly high, open my metallic wings like a bird. In the days of old, I was a celestial craft. With lightning surrounding, taken off in a flash, through bridges in space-time, eliminate distances. Life is just a series of instances. I am instantly in bliss when I reminisce of a fifth-dimensional activist who raised his fist to stop all of this and division within the prison. This industrial system is forcing the Messiah to once again become risen, not lending energy time to dismiss them. I wish them or they, but who is they? To never reincarnate again, recycle the souls into the central black hole. Time to bring back the days of old combined with the new wisdom. I embrace my earthly mission. The intergalactic vision is to rejoin all the civilizations that are patiently waiting for us to grow up and mature. The beings that are here to reassure that one day this universal war that is currently at the shores of our watery planet will no longer endure. Karmic cycle will end, space-time will bend, and our ancestors from the heavens will descend. And our ancestors from the heavens will descend. And our ancestors from the heavens. You see, my mindset is set 2,000 years in the past, plus or minus a millennia, part of the noble cast. The historical roots are so vast, multiple timelines contrast and contradict each other. Earth's first lover, an internal outcast who plunders his way across planetary systems in space, attempting to grace Gaia with my embrace. Hitching rides on asteroids only to join the rat race, forget my place in simultaneous lives, encased in this third-dimensional cage of limitations, pollution, and waste. I had a solution to free the human slaves, but this planet's frequencies and waves inspires amnesia in my brain. I forgot from where I came. No one to blame, born in the middle of the war games, duality, sickness, disease, and fame. I forgot from where I came, reprogrammed to believe in corruption and fame. I lay claim to this dirt. I lay claim to this dirt, make it my own. What is its worth? Stuck in the cycle, it starts over again with my birth until we all transform this dimension and ascend the earth.
Oh, that was beautiful.
Wow.
I felt that viscerally. Wow. That was beautiful, Neil.
Right. You need like an Elton John to just put this to music, and then
Insane, man.
You would be a huge hit to our community and the world. This amazing, great.
You're a creative genius.
Hey, Alan, what do you mean?
Every single word of that was as important and profound as the previous word. That was amazing. From one writer to another, I applaud you.
Yes.
One man can rock the planet, and Neil is the guy to do it.
That is the portal to ascension.
There it is.
Straight up. And just to let everyone know, if you want to follow my conscious hip hop and spoken word, MC_resonance on Instagram. And I am creating an album, and I am working with 3 producers right now.
Awesome.
So I'm going to be creating, and it's called Music from the Next Dimension. That's the name of my album.
Perfect.
Great. You have a new career ahead of you. Great.
Yes.
I think that's it, guys. Or
Okay.
I think we're trying to wrap it up.
See everybody tomorrow. Thank you.
Love you all.
Okay,
Bye, everybody.
Sheila.
Thank
See you
you.
tomorrow.
Lots of love. Bye.
Thanks, everybody online.